Good morning. We've had a great 4 or 5 days here in the Black Hills of South Dakota, but now it's time to move on and we are going to do something we have never done before. Today we are headed to some BLM land just outside of the Badlands. It's kind of been a bucket list camping experience for Mike for, 4 or 5 years. Even since before we bought the rig and went full time, he's always wanted to go here. So we are just about done packing up. He's got to do some finagling because they're so uneven and to make sure that we can drive safely off of his contraption that he has us level with. Mike is going to explain to you a little bit how we're going to make these 3 days with no sewer, no water, and no electric work.
Hey there. We're getting ready to boondock for a few days, so we've got a few things that we got to get taken care of before we go off the grid. Number one is check the fluid level in the batteries. I've got a few more tips for you guys once I get this all done. So we have a bank of 4 batteries here. Each one has 3 different cells, and each cell needs to be filled independently because each cell is separately. I've already done these 2. I'm going to show you guys a couple and give you a heads up on how far up to fill these batteries. It can be tight to work in here for sure, especially under the stairs. We have a 36LA, a Tiffin, and it's very, very difficult to get these caps off. Keep in mind this is battery acid you're playing with, and these caps do have acid on the bottom of them. I'm using distilled water. I put in a little measuring cup and fill it up. Ours have a fill guide on them, which is an inverted spout that sticks to the inside. Typically you fill them to the bottom of the spout and then that cell should be full. Our battery compartment's under the steps, so it is a little bit tricky to get to. Trust me, it was even trickier when I had to change all of these because I inadvertently missed filling them up and the cells went dry and I cooked the batteries. That was a $900 mistake, and I can assure you it's not going to happen again. And there you have it. So now that we got those pesky batteries out of the way, one of the other things we do is get ourselves a full tank of water. We typically can do about 7 or 8 days on the tank. We're doing a short stay this time out in the Badlands. We're going to be there for 3 days. Should have plenty of water. We also go around and look for power sucking devices. One of the things we figured out boondocking is some stuff that you leave plugged up uses power, sometimes more power than you realize. Electric toothbrushes, electric razors, any clocks or stuff that you may have plugged into the USB ports. And we've got 5 hot plugs in our rig that go back to the inverter. So we go around and check those. The TVs are hooked to them, they should be okay. But one of our biggest things that we found out that used the most power that we did not anticipate was Starlink in the router. So we're going to be in an area where we probably won't use it very much because we're actually taking a few days, set out the chairs, prop the feet up and do nothing. We've been running and gunning for about 3 weeks now. So we'll unplug that. We'll also go around and just check and make sure there isn't anything else. Phone chargers, if you're going to be running a generator like we will be a couple hours a day to recharge the batteries, it's good to charge your phones during that same time and pull the phones off the USB ports you may have in your rig during the times that you're on battery power. So next on the list before we leave, we will do a really good tank flush. Keep the tanks pretty much empty. I do put a little bit of liquid in the bottom when we travel. Number one, that helps kind of wash things out a little bit more. And it's never good to let these tanks dry out all the way. So I put very little in there, maybe a couple of gallons. You may use more, you may use less, but we'll do a really good flush here before we roll out. So we got empty gray, empty black, and full fresh. Life should be good. We have been staying the past few days at Black Elk Resort here it's kind of near Rapid City, South Dakota. And despite our site not being level, it's been a really nice place to stay. They have a tap room. Mike was able to go over and get some beers a couple days, and they serve pizza. We got pizza the first night, and the staff here is super friendly. There's only 8 sites here, so it's a really nice campground. But I will tell you, there's a very busy road right here. Not that that's that big of a deal. I never heard anything. And we really didn't have much of a chance to sit outside because it literally rained every single day we were here. We got to sit outside for like a half an hour one day, and that was about it.
But regardless, it's been a really good stay. So today we're doing something a little bit different when we travel to the BLM land. I'm driving separate from Mike because we're only like an hour and a half away from there. That way we don't have to disconnect. I could drive in, scope out some spots, and find us the best place for our 2 rigs to park.
So it's time for the big reveal. We want to let you guys know where we've been camping for the last 3 days. Can you guess?
We are here in windy Wall, South Dakota, Buffalo Grasslands boondocking area. We've been dying to camp here for like 3 years, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of been on my bucket list ever since I saw a few videos of people camping here, and it's better known as the Badlands boondocking area.
It's a gorgeous area. We're going to tell you guys where we stayed exactly, how we got here, and a few changes that have happened in the past year or so.
We came in off of Route 90 headed towards Wall, got off on 240, and everything that we saw said look for the 2 antennas you see behind us, and they're absolutely right. If you take a left at those 2 antennas at the second exit, it brings you into the T where you can go right or left.
So there are 2 entrances here. There's one before you see the 2 antennas, and that will actually take you to quite a few more spots than where we're at. But we drove that road yesterday, and it is really, really difficult to navigate. I mean, you could do it. You are just going to have to really watch it because there's a lot of ruts and stuff there.
Yeah, and just to let you know, the ruts are obviously from weather, a little bit of rain, and I've heard this place turns into a mud-slick. And looking at some of the trenches and some of the areas where it looks like people absolutely just drug their rigs out of here to get out of here in the rain, I would highly recommend checking the weather. Not coming up here if it's going to be raining for a couple days.
So once you turn where the 2 antennas are, just follow the road up. Like Mike said, you can either go right or you can go left. Left will take you towards the first entrance, and there's a lot of sites up there. But here's what's new and different from all the other videos that we have seen.
All of the rim camping areas are currently closed for restoration. So they have, just as restoration in progress, no vehicles, but the entire rim all the way around the BLM land here where you can stay are absolutely closed. And they have marked areas to camp now, which they didn't have before. And if you come to the right, they actually have some designated back-in spots that they put in. I think it's basically to keep everybody from parking out in the field you see behind us, because there's cows running around there right now, and to keep everybody off the rim, because according to the sign, they've had some serious erosion issues and they're trying to abate that.
It's actually, what they've done, if you turn right, is actually really nice. They put some telephone poles down. That's what I call them. They're cut pieces of round wood. There's a little corral area in the middle. I'm not sure what that's gonna be. Maybe a group tent area, I don't know. But it does make a very, very nice turnaround area.
I will let you know the weekends are really busy. We got here 10 a.m. on a Saturday, and when we were coming down 240, we were like, we're gonna be able to find a place, because on the other side, if you take the left when you come to the T, it was packed. And by Saturday night, right at the entrance, a lot of people must come in here just overnight. They were bumper to bumper to bumper, and then a lot of it cleared out on Sunday morning.
Yeah, and this whole area with all the new back-in sites was completely full. Actually, there was one guy that doubled up in the space with another person. So, I mean, I'm not sure that's exactly the right thing to do, but that's what he did.
Yeah, and before they had the designated sites, everybody's used to just parking wherever they want, willy-nilly, as close as you want to the next person. But they've spaced everything out now. In between each post is a marked campsite, and the sign clearly says, please park in designated camping areas only.
So that's some new stuff that's here. Let's show you guys around our campsite.
Caught behind Venetian blinds, out of reach for the city lights. This ain't where I belong. Hey, look at me, man, what I've become.
Behind me is the corral area. That's what I'm calling it, the corral area. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what its purpose is. There is still some equipment back there, but they said all of the work was going to be done like last Thursday, like the 5th of June or something, or 7th of June. Anyway, I'm not sure what this purpose is. maybe it's just for a simple turnaround, which is a really great idea. Behind me, you can see one of the pull-in sites, and you can see it's clearly marked. It's clearly numbered with a site space. Not sure if they're going to continue to do that up on the other end. There is some construction equipment up there. It's some more of these telephone poles up that way. So perhaps, I don't know, let us know in the comments if you come here in the next 6 months to a year. Let us know, have they changed it up there too? So the way that we found this campground, or this area to camp, is obviously we saw other people do it on YouTube, but we found it on RV Trip Wizard. We found it, I found it on All Stays. We don't use Compendium, but it might be there too. Just make sure if you're using RV Trip Wizard that you have full hookups unchecked on your filter, and select BLM land and it'll pop right up.
I'm going to give you guys a quick explanation what BLM stands for, and that's Bureau of Land Management, which is free camping throughout the United States. Mostly it's out west here. There's very little on the East Coast.
This Buffalo Grasslands area is actually managed by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Some are done by the Forest Service, some are under the Department of Interior. It just depends. But basically this is free camping, and you can stay here for up to 14 nights.
So it is public land. And it's obvious that the local ranchers are allowed to free range their cattle out here because they're roaming around everywhere. This morning we had a ton of them up around the rig, and they've since kind of wandered off, but I'm sure they'll be back.
So just remember, this is first come, first serve. Like we told you guys earlier, it is, if you really want to get a primo spot, you want to get here as early in the morning as you can. Our sweet spot is 10 o'clock in the morning. Our last night here at our boondocking location, and I can't think of a better way to spend it than here, overlooking the cliffs of the Badlands.
This is a good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life.
Here's one of the super unique things about boondocking here at Buffalo Gap Grassland. The cows come to visit! Oh my gosh, and y'all look at that sunset. Ugh.
When the old one's gone under